Hey guys, welcome back. This week we missed you again. I'm sorry if you've had to miss a few of our sessions or if you couldn't come this last week, but this week was a really interesting one. Why do I say that? Because it was the sixth commandment. Do you know what the sixth commandment is about? It's about adultery. It's you shall not commit adultery. What does that mean? That, guys, has to do with sex. And that's why, aren't you so sorry you missed it? It's a conversation we had about what this means, this adultery thing. And is it just for married people? Because who's committing adultery? Two married people who have a relationship and build a relationship, especially sexually outside of their marriage, is adultery. So don't cheat. Okay, if you break it down to really simple terms, it's a don't cheat, be faithful. That is not something God wants to see because it breaks down not just the couple, but it breaks down the whole family. I could stop there, but why stop there? Because we need to know how this affects us. Sure, it could affect our parents or other people in our lives, but we're not married and we're not like thinking about that stuff yet. Or maybe we are. It is awkward to talk about, I'll give you that. But especially when we're talking with like parents and adults, teachers, students, it can feel that way. But if we don't start talking about the purpose of it and why is this so important, then we're gonna miss some really important things. And I wanna do that with you guys. So the adultery word. Adultery is when you choose to have sexual intercourse outside of marriage. But we need to look at how does this matter for us? How are we treating things today? Why should I wait? Because eventually I'm going to have a relationship with somebody and I'm going to want to participate in being fully there in my relationship. I'm going to want to hug. I'm going to want to kiss. I'm going to want to cuddle. I'm going to want to do all those things. So can I do that? Is that okay? Can I eventually decide that I love somebody and have sex before I'm married? Is that okay? In the Bible, we learn that it is not. And why is it not? Well, here's the importance. Here's what God created sex for, okay? The most important things he created it for are one, procreation. What does procreation mean? Procreation is a big fancy word for saying have babies. God actually commanded Adam and Eve to go and have babies when he created them. So in Genesis chapter 1, in verse 27, it says, this is all at the end of his creation. It goes, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. And then he tells them to rule over all the animals and everything. Be fruitful and increase in number. It's a command of God to procreate. So go have babies, okay? That's what God wants us to do, is to have lots of babies and to fill the earth. Even still, he doesn't want that to stop. He still loves children. He still wants us to be producing families. So that's a major part of why God, actually, he's the creator of this. He's the one who made sex. So if you're like, ew, weird, I don't know how I feel about that. It's actually a gift, and here's the gifts. Procreation. We get more people, more babies, families out of that. Another thing, if you think about it, is connection. God created this bond between male and female, between the husband and wife. He created something that connects them together. Literally. Okay, so when you think about it, it's something that brings a bond of love, of connection to each other in ways that you can't connect with anyone else, okay? And that is only supposed to be for a husband and a wife. So there's connection in that, and it's a gift because when you have that kind of close connection with someone, it's a blessing and it's a gift. And then another thing that he gives us in that gift is enjoyment. That's the other part of the gift. This is actually for pleasure. This is actually good. It's actually a good thing and it makes people feel good. So notice though, if you're not married, a lot of people aren't ready for this number one. A lot of people aren't ready to make babies. Maybe in some cases they need connection, and maybe in a lot of cases it's about the enjoyment. That's why so many people before marriage are having sex, is they want the enjoyment part, but they don't want these other things. But if you don't take the gift as a whole, a lot of times you're going to run into some other issues. And that's where we have problems, because in our society, you have a lot of people saying, well, no, I guess if you really want to, go ahead, but then if you do get pregnant, then we have to figure out what we're going to do with unwanted babies. Maybe it's fun and enjoyable, but you're not making any connections with anybody. And now you've got kind of this buildup that you have to protect your heart. And so you're feeling like maybe sometimes you connect with that person and maybe sometimes you don't. It's messy. It creates chaos when we do things out of order and in ways that God didn't intend. So we talked in class about how reputations can be ruined or hearts can be broken. I want to show you an example here. If this is God's gift, I've got 2 oranges, okay? A gift. Great things, right? Well, this orange, I'm going to just leave right here next to us. And this orange, I'm going to take it and I'm going to throw it up in the air. Oh yeah, I'm going to catch it and I'm going to throw it harder. Oh, it hit the ceiling. Oh shoot. Well, you know what? Now I'm going to take it and I'm going to like squish it a little bit on the table. Yeah, it's definitely getting softer. And then I'm going to stick it in my armpit and I'm going to hold it there for a while. Yum. And then I'm going to take this marker. Actually, yeah, I'm going to take this marker and I'm going to mark my name. Oh yeah. Okay. Marking my name on it. And then we did this in class, and then we're going to, I just peeled a little bit back and I'm going to just poke it a little bit. Oh yeah, we're just going to mess around with this orange. Okay. Now, if I said, who of you wants to eat this orange, or who of you wants to eat this orange that I left up there on the side, which one would you choose? The one that I was throwing around, stuck in my armpit, wrote my name on and poked? Why not? Well, because it's been all over. This one's the gift I want to eat, right? Well, that's kind of the idea of sex, guys. Why do we choose to wait? Why do we choose to not partake in this gift until marriage? Because there is beautiful things in that gift that can be shared and explored in a safe boundary with a husband and a wife. And if we start those things too soon, it's hard to stop them. So that's why a lot of times we're like, well, don't start dating too early, because then you have to hold back all those strong feelings, because that's what happens. You have a lot of strong feelings. And once you get started, you kind of get bruised and beaten like this orange, where you just don't feel like it's a gift anymore. And the specialness of it can wear off. And then it's just not as exciting and not in the ways that we want it to be. So what we're encouraging you to do is, when we talk about how this affects us today, you as a 7th grader or an 8th grader, or maybe a little older, is to think about this in terms of, when I'm liking a girl or a guy, I need to think about how this affects me into my future. How is choosing to date or not date like taking care of my heart and taking care of the people's hearts around me? I need to think about that. There's a couple other things that we talked about as far as how we dress, and because there's this thing called lust. I'm gonna write that down. Lust. L-U-S-T. Lust is a desire or thought that's sexual in nature. Okay? So sometimes I don't act on things, but I have a lot of this. I have a lot of lust. My thoughts are going. We have to be careful about what we watch, what we keep our eyes on and focused on, or how when we look at people who are not dressed super covered up and things like that, or just things on TV or computer or phone, what we're watching, we need to be careful with this one, because lust is a thought that has a hard time not becoming an action. And it can take over the rest of our thoughts. It's very powerful. So that's one where you guys are going to deal with that too, where it's a sexual thought that you want to keep from going further into where it's going to break down some of the other things that you were trying to stay away from. So watch that and how you view things on your phones. Watch that because that's where we have issues with pornography. It's out there and easy to get. And once you see it, you can't take it away. And it starts your thought process towards things that are different. You have to watch that for just liking people and what girls or guys are wearing. Protect them and protect yourself by not staring, by not looking when you shouldn't, or by not just protect your mind. So guys, there's a lot to this one. I had a lot to say. I don't really have anything for you to fill out, but I do want to encourage you, and I encouraged our class to do this. Talk to your parents. This is just the beginning of one conversation. And if you haven't had a talk about sex with your parents yet, it's really important to do so because they love you the most besides God. And as things get harder in the years coming up, and you have more and more of these issues that surround you, because it's going to be your friends and it's going to be somebody you like, or it's going to be, a family member that you're struggling with, or whatever that might be struggling with things that have to do with sex. If you're not comfortable talking to your parents about it, sometimes we go to sources that aren't always knowledgeable, trustworthy, or going to give godly answers. And so let's go to the parents that we know. Let's start conversating with them now about it. Getting past some of the awkwardness. And parents, I know that's hard for you too. Let's get past our awkwardness because we need to build a relationship between each other so we can keep guiding each other on the straight path. We love Jesus. He loves us. And it doesn't have to all be bad. I think once you start it, it gets easier to talk about. Maybe next time. All right, guys. See you next week for the 7th commandment. Have a good one.